A very good evening to all our viewers. Thank you for making time to be with us on this week's edition of The Agenda. My name is Taiwan Jabela. Tonight on the platform, I'm joined by Shaun Gariseb. He is a social justice activist. He's an agitator on a lot of issues that he considers bothersome to society, and we engaging him this week to really get into the mind of the man, and also, of course, to discuss specific issues that he has been raising lately. Shaun, it's a pleasure having you here. It's the first time on the agenda, so welcome.
Yeah, good evening to everyone. Thanks for having me, and thanks for giving an opportunity to the plight of the ratepayers and the residents of Windhoek on your platform.
No, wonderful.
Yes.
I think your latest agitation is regarding some road tenders that the City of Windhoek has put out. You don't seem to agree with the manner in which it has been conducted. What are your issues with that? Maybe some background.
Yeah, look, around the 13th of April, we wrote to various stakeholders and institutions, but we wrote to the City of Windhoek, to the chairperson of the MC, and as well as the mayor. We wrote to the Anti-Corruption Commission. I want to quote this letter verbatim.
Yeah,
we wrote
but not the whole thing was.
The whole. It was. So we wrote. It had to do with a tender process within the City of Windhoek, where the CEO's involvement was very questionable. So we asked the City of Windhoek for self-review, alternatively change or amendment of terms of procurement contract undertaken by Mr. Machai without justifiable cause or lawful administration, action authorized or solemnized by council resolution and exerted in terms of the relevant and applicable provisions of procurement laws and procedures, meaning that there was undue interference by the CEO in the tender, which does not fall under the threshold of the city, meaning that it was a tender above the threshold of 30 million, and we learned, and then we put it to them that we want answers to that extent as to why the CEO pinpointed two companies that did not qualify at the expense of others, and then we attached all documents and we forwarded this to the ACC. That has become a very hot issue. We were told that after we wrote this letter, immediately the whole procurement department was called to order on the Monday.
So, two issues essentially. One is that the size of the tender is so big that it shouldn't have been held or handled internally.
Yes.
And then secondly, it was done that way, and there are two entities that the CEO, you are saying, said, look, pick between the two, or?
No, the CEO wrote to those entities even to tell them that you must lower your bidding. In other words, it appeared as if he was leaning towards them. And we have attached those letters as to why and what provisions or what powers is he relying on to be able to tell bidders that you must, from 35 and 39 million, you must lower so that you can meet the requirements of this bid. That is what happened, and then that is what we questioned on the 13th of April 2026.
So in other words, the bids were above 30 million, and for it to be held internally, it had to be lowered so that it's within
million. Yes.
I see. What has been the answers?
No, there's no answer as yet from none of the institutions. You know, Anti-Corruption Commission also takes their time with these things. From the City of Windhoek, of course, we do not expect answers from compromised institutions like that.
What do you think? What if I'm being a devil's advocate now? What if Moses Machai was simply saying, look, because he also has a responsibility for financial prudence, So if he thought he could influence the prices to be lower, isn't that better for the city?
He must put it in writing.
How did he do it?
No, he must answer in writing so that we can understand.
Yeah.
So that we can understand. That's why we always do that. What are you relying on? What is your thinking when you are doing what you are not supposed to? So we expect him to put it in writing and to make us understand. You must remember when we do these things, it's not as if we just wake up in the morning and decide today we are going to write a letter agitating Moses Macha. It's nothing to do with him. It's everything to do with accountability and transparency within that institution. He will come, he will go. That what we are doing will remain.
Yeah. Do you think that so to the best of your knowledge, you might not have all the information, of course. As activists, you work with what you have, but to the best of your knowledge, were the other aspiring bidders for this, or because you seem to talk only about two of them?
Yeah, there were other bidders, of course, and that's what I'm saying. It's at the expense of those bidders that these two were chosen. And that's why we want to know, why were these ones chosen? Why were they? Why is it that they are told that bring your bidding within the acceptable requirements? Yeah. Why are the rest also not told to do that?
Where did you get this, Shaun? Are you where did you? What actually confirms that Macha actually did that?
We have attached all the documents. I can avail them to you. It's there in where I got it. I got it from the Tea Ladies Association.
Tea Ladies Association. Yes. Okay. So in what format did he inform those entities? Did he tell them text messages? Did he write them to them formally?
You know, you say in tendering, especially unfortunately in our country and in our dispensation. Yeah. These things these things are made to, they are designed in such a way that they come out as if everything is smooth. Me and you will just be tendering and doing what we need to do, and then we will just see X is the one who comes out with the winning bid. Yeah. These things work like this. Everything will just be smooth. You will just be informed that no, yours was not successful, and that of Shaun was. But you won't understand what did Shaun do that I did not do. That's why people need to understand what does Toivo do that I don't do, that I did not, because my bidding was within the parameters of what is required. Yeah. But this person comes, or these two companies come, and then they get the tender.
Yeah. So you are saying, since writing this letter in April to the chairperson of the municipal council, no one has ever reverted back to you to say, look, or did what acknowledgement of any sort?
Not even the minister has acknowledged the letter yet.
The minister was copied in, or was
the minister was copied in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. This is Minister Sangkwasa.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Why are you calling the ACC compromised?
No, I did not say ACC. I said the City of Windhoek.
The City of Windhoek.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
ACC, to a certain extent, of course, we have reservations about them, because there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Okay. So you wrote to them as in your capacity as Commerce Residents and Ratepayers Association. That is the one that wrote demanding answers.
Indeed.
Okay. Which roads are these? Do we know which roads in Windhoek were tendered for?
No, you see, these tenders are only having numbers, and you know the road maintenance. It's road maintenance.
Road maintenance.
Yes, it's road maintenance. So it must do with. You will see that there is road construction happening pertaining to potholes. Yeah. So it could be that one.
Okay. You confine yourself, your activism, to commerce and Windhoek in particular. I did not see your expression, if any, on the speed humps in Windhoek. What is your take on that? Everybody's talking about it.
No. I do have a view on it. Of course, I agree with my good friend in that the speed calming measures, a different method could have been applied. And also with the minister, I do not agree with his conduct, which rather comes across as arrogant in the face of public outcry, deliberately continuing with things like that. The minister should have engaged the people. People are trying to engage him. So I know, and I also understand to a certain point where the minister comes from, because I know the area where the speed humps were put and with what purpose. But the minister would have just taken a better approach, because Sonderwater there, the people cross that place, and I do know that deaths happen there. But the people are also proposing, as users of that road, they are proposing that an alternative or a bridge could have been built, or something could have been explored instead of causing another problem. This is what happens in Namibia, where our leaders and institutions do not consult, do not engage the people, and just do things without understanding the implication thereof. And then it causes that.
When a guy like yourself, Shaun, when you agitate in the manner that you do, is anyone listening, or you guys are just passing time?
In 2024, a guy like me myself, we caused government to subsidize 430 million for hiking in electricity. 25 again, 350 million. That is a lot of money for one person to agitate and for government to listen. I think people are listening, and I've seen a lot of changes. You see those railings in the middle of Independence Avenue. We were saying people are getting bumped at Grootwinkels. Nobody understood what I meant when I was saying people are getting bumped. Because when are the people getting bumped? 12 o'clock in the evening. If you go there as a city official and you stand there during the day, you will not see anybody speeding, because the traffic is too much. Yeah. So you will say there's no need for even a speed hump here, because the traffic is too much. But in the evening, there's no traffic. People are speeding there. And the people who are enjoying holy waters on the sides of the two roads, Independence, while they are crossing over between Pick and Pay and railroad location this side, Grootwinkels one side, people were getting bumped. Since those things were put in, until today, for the past 3 years, there has been not one single report of a person being bumped, but there were 10 deaths in the time that we were complaining. I think when people listen, and it's not only me, we must listen to each other as communities. That's how society progresses.
Yeah, but which you mean between that filling station on this side and there are some entertainment places on the other side?
On the other side. So that area, not only even at Pick and Pay, where people all the time people pass in from this side to the other side. Now, during weekends, nighttime, because all the bombings were happening that time. In the evening, during weekends, people are in their weekend mood and people are speeding on the roads. If you go and stand there midnight, you will find people speeding there, or you will find people having bumped robots. So that was where we were coming from, but nobody was understanding until that happened. Sometimes you will only understand things when you understand the space. There was a podcaster who was blaming another podcaster for in podcasting. There is what is called clipping. So when you just see a clip of a document, he thought now his colleague was bad mouthing him, and then his colleague simply asked him, that is being clipped. He just saw the last part without context. So when you don't understand this, you'll never. So that is what it is.
At what point, let's broaden this conversation, at what point did you decide to get into activism? You are a guy that went to school, studied law?
No, not law. I studied administration.
You studied administration. You have a job. To a lot of people, it's like, I'm sorted. Why must I bother myself with these things? Let those that are affected actually be at the forefront of these things. But somehow you have put yourself at the forefront of some of these fights. At what point did you start some of these things? Have you always been a guy of that kind of energy, or you realize maybe this is, you have long-term ambitions and you had to start somewhere?
No, I think the space wherein I work is such that I work where I work, we work with indigent people. So basically, that space just polished me into what I became, because the circumstances which I grew up in and which I see as a country and my upbringing already, it was just natural, because I'm one of those lucky people. You know, when you grow up with soccer and I just grew up as a normal guy. So when you grow up normally like us, you get to see you get to see how Namibians grow up. You grow up with other people, you learn their cultures, you grow up in football. So that, coupled with what I learned through varsity, through school, and then with my work. By the way, I work at Legal Aid, and with Legal Aid, we assist people who find themselves in this situation. So most of the people in the country were automatically, I became a go-to person from anywhere. So I easily understood the problems, and it was just natural. And I was already having this thing in me to help people. I have other programs besides agitating, like sanitary pads programs, and so we have been doing these kinds of things. Helping comes naturally. But I decided that I came to realize at one point that if we do not do this, who is going to do them? I found a guy in a bar one time, and they lost a house 3 years ago, and I told myself, if every time we meet in social spaces and we only speak about football, how many things could I have spoken to Toivo about? And I am the one that can assist him. Yeah. So I learned that sometimes we must learn to broaden our conversations. Maybe you could be the one who could help this person. And I've lost count of how many people I've helped through that mentality over the years.
Yeah. One of the fiercest battles that you fought with everything that you have is exactly what you spoke about, people losing their homes, in Katutra in particular, due to debts. Where do matters stand now? Is it an ongoing battle, or have the authorities sort of backed off now? What is the latest in that regard?
It was twofold. It's the authorities, it's the system, and it's some people within communities that take advantage of vulnerable people, of obviously knowing that these people are unaware of, or the people find themselves in debts. You find people going to these people and telling them, we can solve your debt, but I'll pay it, you'll only move next year, June. These people in their weakness think it's a lot of money, and then 6 months pass and this person comes. We have to fight these people. Some of these things have caused us to be targets of people because they think you are stepping on their toes. And it was a money-making scheme to buy houses from vulnerable people, sell it, and then sell it, renovate it, sell it for a bigger price. And doing this with people within the banking system. So it was difficult. Me, just an ordinary person from the streets, and then I must stand with these people. But we decided, luckily, we must also know we have friends. We don't just stand up and just do things. We consult with friends. We sit also with friends. We watch soccer with friends that are also in those spaces, and we use that understanding to help these people, and that was helpful. At the moment, even the banks have relaxed their approach, but they are not done. The elevation, currently we are looking at with a group of people, obviously with expertise in different areas. We are looking at how we can also attack that system and for once and for all correct this thing.
I mean, you working in the legal space, you would be aware of the new law now that says that stops this trigger-happy practice of banks. If you default on your bond, there was not enough time spent in finding a solution. You'll be ripped off your house just like that. And now we are told the primary residence of a person who is defaulting, there has to be some sort of better way to handle that. What is your attitude towards that?
Yeah, I agree with that new development. However, I see in a situation very close to me, there is situation where where somebody is near the end of their working career, probably 4 months away. They owe a very small amount of money, and these people are on their case for her to come and make a commitment in terms of arrangement. So it was just this week, and I was speaking to this person, is a very close relative of mine, and I'm saying that this person is going into retirement, and she's saying she's going to be able to settle this debt in less than 6 months. But these people are insisting that she must make an arrangement. What will this mean? This arrangement will mean she will compel herself to a further 10 years. And then she probably might defect because she becomes a pensioner. So we wrote to the bank to say that, no, if there is no loan deferment, I'm not going into restructuring of debt, because what's the point in committing to a long-term commitment whereas I can settle this in 6 months. This speaks to, and it's from experience, from where in the space I have worked, these banks have never, they do not, we at our workplace we say these people are not your friends. They are not your friends, they are just there to make money. When it comes to making arrangements, I've seen many people over the years, after 20 years of consistent payment, two times of missing your payment, and these people are on your case. These people are literally calling you, and they are saying that no, you. So it's like that. We have to fight them back.
At what personal cost do you do what you do? Whether it's in terms of your personal security or even resources.
I must say I'm protected by my ancestors. I'm protected by the streets. It's to a very large extent. I think that's why I said in the beginning I'm a very lucky man. You know, I'm also a product of the streets, and the streets. I have the protection of the streets. But personally, I was speaking to.
You have street credibility.
I can say that. I was speaking to a friend of mine. I can even mention his name, Mr. Sorbo, Bernardo Sorbo, was telling me this week. He was telling me that very thing you mentioned, that you must be careful of the personal cost of these things. As much as he encourages and says a lot of things about what we do, and because we do it I do it from a very genuine position, from a good place, but there are costs. I have friends who I cannot be seen with in public because they don't want to be seen as being friends with an agitator, because people have business interests. People are in political parties that we are agitating, or people are friends to these people that we are agitating. So those are probably the cost. It also comes at a small financial cost sometimes, because we don't stand up and ask for money from people to do this. It's merely out of my heart. You know, I get a call on a Friday from somebody in Windhoek at the border there, and that person is telling me there's no ambulance, and I risk maybe trying to reach out to the deputy minister or the governor. I don't know, maybe the governor might not even like it, and then he blocks me. Tomorrow I might need something of urgency, and this guy thinks I'm irritating. So these are the things, but I just do them, and sometimes it works. It's with blessings from above.
Yeah. The another one of your battles is now the common in traditional leadership issues. You had held a referendum not so long ago, and I think there was supposed to be phases. Where does that matter stand now? Did you consider defeat?
No. The matter is that phase is complete. The referendum is complete. A report is handed into the minister, and now it is at the level of the minister to pronounce himself, and we are waiting for that pronouncement of the minister. It must be supplemented by an audit report from that very same ministry. But I must say that was successful. The people have responded very well. In fact, even the other traditional communities are very impressed in that they were giving our community props in how we conducted ourselves during the process, despite attempted sabotage and intentions of suppressing us, but it was a very successful process.
Mornings just got better, Namibia. From the latest headlines to the hottest trends, we're bringing you the conversations that matter.
That's right. Bright minds, bold opinions, and a touch of morning magic. This is your daily dose of energy.
So grab a cup and join in on the conversation every weekday morning at 8 o'clock with Smell the Coffee, hosted by Diana Master and Aina Raisa Quayo. Are you curious as to what is driving the cars world? Well, we are bringing you into the world of cars. Tech, trends, road trips, and the stories behind the wheels. It's fun, it's fast, and it's full of surprises. This is your ultimate cars companion. You can catch My.NA Cars every Thursday at 9 p.m. with me, your favorite passenger princess, Diana Master, because it's not just about the ride, it's about the journey.
So, what did the process produce in terms of the outcome? In terms of course, I'm sure. I mean, I know what you're saying that now that there's still a step now at ministerial level, but in terms of the outcome of that process, what do the people want?
The people want the removal of the chief. That was a position. The purpose of the process was to allow also the chief to have a say, or if there are any people of the chief to also have a say. That was the purpose. We already knew the people do not want the chief because of obvious reasons. However, the process was deliberately dragged over a period to allow when there's 1 and 2, we always made it a point that there are no factions within our community.
Yeah.
There is no this faction and that. It was the community versus the leadership. And in order to prove that, we dragged the process over a time so that we can see. If that was the case, people would have come up and say, we are also going to make a similar, or call a meeting of people, even if it's 100 people, and say, we are against what these people are doing. That did not happen, and that is what we wanted to prove. And then we wanted transparency, we wanted honesty, we wanted to show that this is the honest position of the people, and it produced that.
Yeah. And like I asked you once on the evening review, the locus standi and all those things are there. It's the legitimate process.
The process is absolutely legitimate. That locus standi thing, I hear it at a lot of people. That thing is just people working there in court. This process is not in court. We are not taking anyone to court. We are taking the process. We are following the process in the framework of the Traditional Authority Act and our customary laws. And that process does not require us to have a locus standi to go to the minister. We are the community, and as a community, we constituted meetings, got resolutions, took resolutions, got a mandate, did what the mandate says, and then we delivered the report. And we have everything, including a USB with videos, voice notes. Everything is there. It is a process that can be used in posterity.
Yeah. And again, remind me of what you guys then would do should the minister grant you your wish. What happens at the top now?
If the minister, it's not a wish, it's an inevitability. If that happens, we move to the next stage, which is to appoint an acting chief. And then after the acting chief, the two resolutions are that the amendment of the customary laws. The customary law, in its editor's notes from the beginning, has its disclaimer that it was not widely consulted. So there will be consultations, and then we'll correct things that are not correct within the customary law, because some of the customs are not are not well recorded. You will remember Sir Abner Group was on your platform and he was telling you that was an academic exercise. It's true, because even the publishers acknowledged that it was not consulted widely, and they are merely just printers of what is in front of them.
Yeah.
So it's against that background that an amendment after consultation will be done, and then we will deal with succession after that. Maybe even it will be the chief's daughter will become the chief again. We are not disputing that.
Yeah. In terms of that customary law, because I suppose its content means different things to different communities, because we all have different customs. For the common in, what aspect disadvantages you, or whatever that you want changed?
Look, from the beginning, everything was imposed on the community. And the problem is now the biggest problem is that we have representation, but this representation does not represent the plight of the people.
Yeah.
It's merely representation to say you have a traditional authority. That's why there was this thing last week where we as a wider community had a problem with the minister wanting to or consult with a certain number of people, 2 from 8 traditional authorities, on our supreme customary law. You cannot do that. You cannot consult 8 imposed chiefs or 2 people from 8 traditional authorities and say you have dealt with a customary law of a wider community. Now, it's against that background that we are saying that because this was not done properly in the beginning, because this was merely just for recognition purposes, that they were told, bring a customary law and then we will recognize you. That's what was done. And it's coming to haunt them, because even the gazetting of the traditional authority was done on 300 square meters.
Yeah.
And that is a problem now, because the chief is supposed to stay on those 300 square meters in terms of the law. The chief is supposed to stay there.
Yeah.
And the chief is not staying there. And that is the ground for removal.
Yeah.
How are you going to, by law, how are you going to go against around that? So this is the very reason why we are saying, instead of us giving the impression that the community is fine, let's fix governance.
Yeah.
Let's fix governance. That's why for the past 3 years we have tried to be saying to the traditional leaders, we were consulting them, telling them, let's correct these things. Let's sit and talk, let's correct these things, because the impression you are giving to government is that we are fine, but we are not fine. We do not have land. We want to live according to our customs. We want to save the little bit of what is there as a community, and the people were not listening. That's why we want to fix. Even if you go to other communities, that is exactly what it is. You have people representing you. Representation is not governance. You cannot just be there merely because we have my tribe. You know, when these people went to space, there was a black person there in that team when they went to the moon recently. When I heard him speak for the first time while he was there, I was so proud that I thought, this guy is not just representing. This guy is there. And the things that he spoke made me say, he was when those people spoke in unison, their team, they said that the very first thing when they were about to go around the moon was he made a little prayer. And then I just thought, this guy is not just there. He's not just there because there must be a black face. He's there because he's on merit.
Yeah. Even in your case now, having submitted your findings, if you want, to the minister now for the next step to take course. My question has always been around the powers of the minister. And I'm not talking about James Sangwasa necessarily, but whoever is the incumbent in that position. Is that how it should be, or there's room for improvement in the powers granted to the minister in that portfolio to deal with these traditional issues? Because, I mean, I was shocked, personally, really when for the first time ever, maybe there's another incident that I missed before, but for the first time I saw Chief Zacharias Sebeb of the Daure Daman, I think, which is,
Yes.
yeah, being degazetted. by a minister, in this case a minister who has not even been elected by anyone. He came through as part of the 8 people who were brought in by the president under the circumstances. And he can just dig us at a chief. I mean, I couldn't care less what the difference is, which side of the faction, those two factions is correct, but somehow it sounded like an overreach for me. Yes. If a minister can just wake up one morning and say, Toivo, you are no longer chief, that's crazy.
I think the minister...
Of course, there's a process. There's some exercises where people must submit this and whatever, but I thought it was extraordinary.
Yeah, but the minister has certain powers, but the act clearly states that only the community can remove chiefs.
Yeah. So
sometimes in this country we wake up and we find leaders doing things that we don't understand. That's why that's why you find us as activists agitating. That's why you find activists in court, having taken having gone to court with ministers for things, because ministers just implement things or they interpret what is in the act, and then they do things and think they cannot be told otherwise. So unfortunately that was the case, and that's why that matter is in court, and it is actually detrimental to the community. And it's also just delaying, because there's no secret that the community has had their time with the chief, but had the minister not done that overreach, the community would have done it the way they are supposed to, which they did. But by the time when they were done, I think the minister had already made a decision, and that causes confusion and a problem.
Yeah. Before we go for the break, just another question again there. So when were you arrested? Were you not detained a year or 2 ago? What was it about?
It was 2025. We went to take the circumstances of the people in Gaukwareb in Dolam, after they had been complaining for over 2 decades about the smell in the water there. So we took that evidence, and then we went to deposit it at the doors of the City of Windhoek, so that they can feel and smell it, and then they decided to exercise their powers.
Yeah, so you see, when you were listing at what cost, you should have also indicated that you even went to jail for the people. Yeah, now I remember now it was about that. We will go for a very short break and return with Shaun Gariseb.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative Sport Tourism.
We are still talking to Shaun Gariseb here on the agenda. Your attempt at becoming a politician failed spectacularly last year. You wanted to become a councillor of Katutura East constituency, if I remember correctly, and that didn't go well. In fact, it died. The whole bid died upon arrival because you were not even allowed to participate in the election itself. Later, how must we perceive Shaun Gariseb now? Is it an activist or an amper politician who just never crossed the line?
I'm an activist. Even with what you termed as spectacular attempt and what those nice words you use, the attempt was never to become a politician. It was out of, especially let me speak about the candidacy in Katutura Central was because of the need that stands that is there, and because of what the people wanted. That need it's still there. The people still feel we still need you, but sometimes things happen for reasons. If I was the councillor of Katutura Central today, we were not going to have that deposition I was talking about of the chief. We're not going to have that deputation in the City of Windhoek Council, because you were going to say, why don't I concentrate on Katutura Central? That is what and you must remember, I'm not limited to Katutura Central, Windhoek, or else. Like I told you, I've been working with almost everyone in this country, and I assist so much. Maybe people only see what they see on social media or on TV, but there's so much work that I do outside social media that reaches as far as the borders of this country. So I remain an activist, even if I occupy a political position. It's only because it can enable me to affect change.
Yeah.
That's why I will be in that position, but I will never become a politician, or I will never identify as one. I will always identify as an activist, resident, and a common person.
Yeah, you have seen, Shaun, how public offices have neutralized activists. The people who were at the forefront of activism, very radical, once they go to the City of Windhoek or to Parliament or wherever, that energy just fizzes out. And that would be the fear of the people that you fight for, to say, if Shaun becomes councillor, if you had become councillor, some challenges that are facing that community point at you by just virtue of being in that office. So then you will see Shaun being neutralized. He's no longer speaking as loud as he used to be because the problems are supposed to be solved by Shaun himself.
I'm not like those people, because those people are not genuine.
Yeah.
When we were doing these things before elections, they were saying we are only doing it for elections. Many, including my own family members, started thinking, why must you still sacrifice yourself for these people? The election came, a lot of them in Katutura Central did not stand up and vote. Only about 1,000 people went to vote for you. For me, it was never about that. I look at things differently. That's why I'm able to stand up and do things that may appear mad to other people. Therefore, even if I was in that position, nothing will change in how I look at things. And from the very beginning, some activists, we knew that they are not genuine in what they are doing, because I did not start these things now. I've been writing, I've been in this space through my work for a long time, and I understand the plight of the people, what we need. It's not only up to me also. I also know that it's up to a lot of us. So it won't end that way. And I'm not like, I don't want to say, I don't think I will be like that, because it's not in me.
Yeah. As a Katutura boy, thinking about where Katutura comes from as a community, whether it's in terms of the provision of houses, Nasbokor houses, just the Katutura that you grew up in compared to the Katutura of today, how would you describe the evolution that has taken place? Is it a better community now? It used to be better back in the day. Did we regress? Did we progress?
One, we cannot say we regressed. We cannot say we progressed, but we are crawling. We are crawling, and we are crawling because of different factors. These factors of urbanization from other areas, and people who are taking over the leadership of the city of Windhoek. Nowadays, we have people who have no interest in city of Windhoek. They are there for jobs, so they do not understand. For example, there is a Samstan that was a built together project that was started in Donkerhoek in 1987. Until today, those people do not have lease agreement or ownership of that house. They are in the same situation that they were in 87, and nobody cares about that very first built together project. But if you go and look at what Czech Dwellers Federation is doing for built togethers, and they are not concerned about that model transforming what was the attempt of formalizing informal settlement into a proper thing. It just speaks to what factors are contributing to things being static. You see, the only thing you see is people have extended houses, painted houses, and there are more in the houses, and then the streets are tarred, but the rest of the things are the same.
Yeah, but there's a lot of problems in Katutura. I mean, I came to Windhoek 23 years ago in 2003 for university. And when I lived in Katutura with my father, and when I arrived in Windhoek, we didn't see some of the things that we see today. People standing in the middle of the road selling lollipops and all these sort of things. And the ghettos were not expanding at the pace that they are today. The beggars are more today. I know you spoke about urbanization and all that, but even in 2003, people were still coming to Windhoek. Just how did we get here where we are today?
It's the failure of the city of Windhoek. It's the failure of the city of Windhoek that caused this. You know, when it is election time, people have no problem with people building illegal structures. But when the time comes when people are asking for service, nobody cares with that. At the moment, we are sitting with 244,000 households in the informal settlement. There is no action plan for that informal settlement. The upgrading project of the city of Windhoek is dormant. In the past 25 years or so, if you look at the success rate of the informal settlement, there's nothing. Every time there's just new surveys, new wording to projects. Even just yesterday, after our deputation, we hear there's an environment assessment application that is done to clear for 3,500 houses or so. These are things, if you go and do your research, you will find many of these projects undertaken every 5 years, every 3 years, with this strategic plan which started in 22 to 27, or with different. Every plan is having a name, but there's actually no tangible result, and there's no effort. How are you going to restructure 244,000 illegal structures or informal settlement structures in the informal settlement? How are you going to do that? There's no plan. Nobody's serious about that. So that is the problem in Katutura. The problem is that there's no serious effort to address this. It's only talk and nice wording in a document, but people don't do it.
Yeah. Let's spend the last few minutes discussing. You spoke about football earlier. You are a man of football. You are aligned to Black Africa Football Club, which is an important traditional football club in our country, but which nearly only exists on paper right now. You are involved with one group that says they are the legitimate leadership of Black Africa. Then there's another one. The Black Africa is so much traditional club that, I mean, its history and everything. And while it's not a tribal football club, it's also a very proud heritage within the Damara community, really. If I'm allowed to describe it that way, of course it has supporters all over, but so it's very anchored within the Damara speaking community. So So it's more than just a football club. It's a heritage, it's a culture. Now it's languishing somewhere. Where are you guys now? You are in the 3rd division or somewhere there. You got relegated again.
Yeah, we are there in the last division. But
Yeah.
Black Africa is an epitome of the Namibian house. It's not a Damara football club. It's not the Chwana football club. It's the first club that united people and played a very big role. We are past that stage of fighting each other because we fought, and what happened. The next time you are going to see Black Africa re-emerge, they will definitely, because we will never only exist on paper. Toivo, it's just like any house. Even in a marriage over 20 years, 25 years, you get problems.
Yeah.
So Black Africa will re-emerge in the flagship league. We are solving things out. We must. It had to happen. It had happened before to Santos. It had happened to Juventus. It had happened to Tigers now also. So we will correct and we will come back. We have just decided that we must fight internally now, and then we must fix internally. When we come out, we are all smiling.
Yeah. Who is in charge of it now? Is it you or Lolo?
No. I was never in it. I was just a supporter. And Lolo, them are not part of the ownership of the club anymore.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Why don't you buy a status even just to get back into the 1st division?
No. Those things, they destroy the very history you were talking about. You have to work through
organically.
Yes, then it feels right. But this thing of buying club status, you kill the history of the club.
Yeah, I mean, I speaking of the buying, I find it very unfootball-like, just like a club, because you just want things to be organic, things to happen naturally.
Exactly.
If West Ham in England goes to the Championship as they did now, recently, you just want them to try their luck again. Blackburn Rovers has been languishing in that thing. They were champions, I think, in 1996 or something like that. So they must just work their way up again. It's more organic rather than flashing cash. Now we are told Tigers are busy negotiating to buy their way back into the Premier League. It makes our soccer a joke of some sort.
Exactly. That's how you find most of the clubs in the flagship league. Most of them don't have supporters because it's clubs that are just there on financial, because they have financial ability. But so the football will die.
Yeah.
Football dies. You need to have some sort of culture and tradition to go with.
Yeah. At work, how do you balance, my brother, with activism and all these things, and work? Are you the kind that leaves their jacket hanging on the office chair, pretending to be in the building, while you are actually leading some chaos there in Katutura?
No. It's not every day that we are leading chaos. So I try my best to be at work. If it's necessary, then we put in leave.
Yeah.
But most times we do these things outside the workspace. Weekends, I can write on my phone while I'm talking to you, and then I'm not doing this also alone. You must remember, there's a lot of people who we are working together with. So,
are you performing in your official duties, or you are consumed by activism?
I was born for these things. I don't think I'm doing that bad.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. Shaun, thanks, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Appreciate it, bro. That is Shaun Gariseb. He is an activist in a variety of areas, and he confines himself mostly to the Commerce region, where he is fighting various battles, and he was on the platform tonight to really let us in a bit about his life as an activist, his ambitions, and what are the latest things on his front. Thank you for watching.